Welcome to our Simplify video this week. Simple living involves not only consuming less, but considering the impact of what we buy and consume. In these videos we consider how we can choose practices that minimize harm to others and the planet, and in turn honour God. After all, He gave us this world to care for, and He asked us to love Him and each other really well. So it's our duty to ensure that when we grocery shop and dispose of waste, when we travel, when we buy clothes, when we make all these kinds of choices, we really are thoughtful about the impacts on others and the world we've been given to look after.
Okay, so following on from Tina's video about how she tries to shop in a way that is a little bit more friendly to the environment, I am going to talk about making some things that in a way that is a bit more friendly to the environment. And as you know, we're talking about simplifying our lives, and it might seem like making things isn't that simple, but I'm talking about simple things that you can make. Okay, so and a lot of this is not really any more time consuming than just buying all the stuff. So I'm going to start with yogurt because it's one of my favourite things to do because we eat a lot of yogurt, and instead of buying a plastic pot of it every week, I make it myself, and I don't use those Easy-O sachets because I don't want to create that rubbish either. I buy a big sachet of instant milk powder, and that will probably last, I don't know, depending on how often we make it, a month or 6 weeks. And to make a new pot of yogurt is really easy. So I have this, your basic Easy-O yogurt maker, and then this is the remains of last week's yogurt. This is another container, and so what I do to make a new yogurt is I get 1.5 cups of milk powder, 1.5 cups of milk, fill the rest of it up with water, make sure the lid's on tight. Refill it to make sure it's all the way up to the top. And then, the important part, okay, you need to get about a tablespoon of old yogurt, put it in the new yogurt, and then mix that in as well. Okay, so that's it basically, and then we just put the hot water in the yogurt machine and then leave it there for 8 hours, just like you would with like an Easy-O sachet. So when I do this, basically it cuts down on the waste. All I'm using is this big thing of milk powder, which I keep in the fridge, that lasts about 4 weeks, and that's it, water and old yogurt. And I like my yogurt quite thick, so that's why I use 1.5 cups of the powder. It makes quite a thick Greek yogurt. And I don't sweeten it, but you probably, if you wanted to, you could put flavouring in there, or you could do that after it's done as well. Another thing that I've made recently is hummus, which you usually buy in a plastic pot, and that is super easy to make. You can use a tin of chickpeas, or I buy dry chickpeas at the bulk store, and you just soak them and cook them until they are like tin chickpeas, and I mix them up in my blender or a food processor with a bit of lemon juice, vinegar, olive oil, salt, pepper, whatever you want really, and just taste it until it tastes right. So hummus is a really good one if you eat hummus. And also, I used to be really afraid of doing anything with yeast because I'm not a good baker, but it's actually really, really good for cutting down on plastic, especially like bread products that you tend to buy in plastic bags. It's actually super easy just to make your own bread, and if you make a sourdough starter, then you are using even less plastic because you're not buying this yeast in a plastic container, but we can't do everything. So I will try and leave in the comments some of my favourite recipes I make. Sometimes I haven't done it so much recently, but I used to make a lot of our own just loaves of bread, and also I've done bagels. They're actually quite easy, and flatbreads. We use those a lot instead of buying wraps. We just make flatbreads, and it's super simple. Oh, and pizza bases, you know, all those things that you would buy wrapped in a lot of soft plastic usually. Usually my kids' daycare makes their lunches, which is great, but at the moment, because we're in level 3, they have to take their own lunches in their lunch boxes, and so I've been trying maybe is to make as many components of their lunch as possible rather than putting in plastic packets. So what have you had in your lunchbox? Pizza, yeah, we like that one, making pizza, and you've had some little muffins and stuff, eh? Yeah. I think that sustainability isn't about, like Tina said, it's not about doing everything, it's not about being perfect, and obviously making, like she said, that you know, buying things without plastic can be a bit more expensive. Making your own things can be a bit more time consuming. It's always a toss up of just what you have time to do. On the plus side, making your own stuff is also cheaper. Making yogurt is cheaper, making hummus is cheaper, making bread. So if, like Tina, you have the issue of things being more expensive when you grocery shop with low waste in mind, making your own stuff is a good option. And I would love to like exchange ideas with people on Facebook, obviously, but because we can't in person at the moment. So if you're interested, just comment in the comment section of this post and tag me, and we can exchange ideas.